Sure, but more than just deploying some trick, you deployed it in a way that serves this moment,
thanks.
Of the music. Yeah.
It's just a little breath that keeps me from
And I don't remember at the time consciously wanting this all to work so well, because that's the first time that E gets introduced too, right, from Grace?
Yes.
Yeah.
Percussive loop. Let's find that.
Which I know live winds up being like such a underpinning thing.
Yeah.
I love how those two elements work together.
Yeah.
Oh man, those in the cracks there, I like want that loop to write a new song out of it. And put a compressor on it so that the chukka-chukkas are a little louder.
Yeah. Where did that percussive idea come from?
Well, I knew that I wanted to have something percussive in that moment. And I don't think I had done anything like that before, but I really liked the gutturalness of it. I mean, it feels like a gut punch, and it's right when we're getting into the yeah, take me now, here we go. We had all this, we're talking about it. I see you over there with your big old spear or whatever you got. Here, come get me. No, let's go. We had our little standoff. Let's do it now.
Yeah, it's carnal. It's got a sort of what come.
Yeah.
Also, Justin, you were talking before about the Matsu's part, and it's like to that's a snare drum kind of like if it's anything, it's a snare drum, but it's just on the big beat 1 E, right? Or it's E, yeah. But to have it, on big beat 1, a snare drum works because of the rim clicks being off of it. It's a really cool composite.
Yeah, I also think there's something that between this and the main vocal loop. The main vocal loop is very straight, straight 16ths.
Yes.
Right? Very straight. But then when you come in with the percussion, it's very swung. And that tension between those is something that Matsu and I have definitely always played with. We lean towards the swing thing, even when we just have the straight loop. But because the bass and drum parts there are very broken, it really leans into the tension of straight versus swung and feeling like there's two things going on at the same time. Well, let's hear what the drums are doing. Now we start to get the main groove, right? The snares and the kicks are all on off 16th notes. One, got go. Let's see if there's anything else.
That rocks. And the delay also helps lock it all in. I'm a big fan of using that on my guitar parts too. And even when I'm live, I love setting up delays that just glues the groove together. And so anything that's in the cracks gets kind of resolved against itself because the delay regiments it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There is this little Guitarrón part.
That's a guitar. I thought it was an upright.
Yeah, I use
you?
Guitarrón a lot to sort of fake upright. I think it has some unexpected and quirky sonic properties to it.
Yeah, it's like all low mids,
Yeah.
so there's room for it in a mix.
Yeah.
It's the stuff from an upright if you don't want it to behave like a bass.
Right.
Now I'm dumb and don't know things. That's the big guitar.
It's the big
subway.
mariachi bass. Yeah. It's a mariachi bass instrument.
Yeah.
Effectively, the way they play all octaves. It's fretless, and they're playing all octaves all the time, and it's very demanding on your hands.
Yeah. But you use it to do your bidding.
Yeah, I think we'll find. I think there's also a Guitarrón percussion track in this song somewhere where I was playing it like a percussive instrument.
Cool.
You can kind of hear it.
Then we've got your instrument, the electric bass.
There's some electric bass in there too. Yeah, with that, I mean, because of what Matsu was playing, where the kick and the snare are always off the beat. I guess I felt empowered to follow him there and play on all the off 16ths. Also possibly because Grace's vocal loop is so on the beat. You know, it's kind of pulling against what she lays down.
It's crazy. Once you play it with the straight eights, it's suddenly like a completely different groove in like that. Oh, that's why the track works. Like, you know, the groove when you're soloing out all these elements that are all sort of in the same swing universe, it all works and feels like a great loop that like you could build any song out of that. And then with the straight eighths of Grace's loop, which is kind of the most consistent thing throughout the whole track, it's like the motor.
Yeah.
Suddenly it's like, oh, this is that song. So it's cool.
You know what it almost reminds me of a little bit is like Grace's loop becomes the hi-hat. You know, like in a funk groove where the hi-hat is like kind of a little bit straighter than everything
Yeah, like
else
the meter
that's
and like
bouncing
a meter song or something.
Totally.
Yeah. Now we're cooking with nerd gas.
All right, next verse.
Listen, I have given up the need to fight it all.
Hell yeah.
All the room he needs to finish me off. I have waited.
Got those slams in there.
To be hated by my enemy.
Those swung 16ths, I didn't write that. You wrote that, I think.
Really?
Yeah. I don't remember writing it. And I also remember
what?
you released it. It's great. I sign off. I happily take credit for it. But no, I remember you released a clip of the session, and I was on the road. I couldn't be at the session, and you were releasing them, recording that, and I was like, I didn't write that.
I don't recall writing
collaboration.
it. But
Well, maybe I did, and I also feel like I'm such a tryhard, and back then I was such a tryhard that I don't think I would have trusted myself to just be like some 16ths with some accent. Like I wouldn't have trusted myself that was enough of a gesture. So,
to my ears, it's referencing the
Give Me Blood.
Give Me Blood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, it rocks. I think it's not mine.
I remember that in the session we had to have pretty intense discussions about how much to swing it or not swing it
boy.
because of the straight versus swung. thing
Yeah,
going on.
and string players just conceive time totally differently, and
Yeah.
No, I mean that sounds like a rhythm section bro dig, but I actually mean it. Like it's just a completely different conception of like how to place things, and
Yeah, and I'll say that the first times that I played with string players, I had to reconceptualize how I was playing time and playing to a conductor and those sorts of things.
yeah, we could do a whole. I love playing with string players and finding the more breath time sense as opposed to the metronomic clicked thing with them. And
Yeah. It looks like Matsu overdubbed something here. I don't know what it is. We'll find out. Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yep. That's cool.
I think that gets us out of the kind of breakdown that happens at the start.
Love a backwards into forwards.
Look and listen, I have given up the need to fight it all.
Yep.
Give him all the room
It's literally like a page turner.
Yeah.
I have waited.
What a cool track we made. Analysis. Effective.
Nice to feel good about something.
No, I'm like zooming in on it is just making me like it more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to have that time away from it and be like,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
right. This
I
would-
made
I
a
think-
good decision.
I think
there.
if this was like 2 months after like we did mixed notes, this would feel like a struggle session. It'd be like, why are we still looking at this? But getting away from it and then being like, this is cool.
Here's the second verse. Just mostly strings and winds and some percussive elements. Take a look at those horn parts.
That
too.
is just delightful all around.
I think one of the things that I like most about this string writing is that at this point they're playing the more linear stuff, right? The figures, the lines.
They're part of the horn section.
Exactly. But a lot of the time in pop songs, you find figures that are repeated, right? Maybe there's like a little bit of a development in the second phrase, third phrase, something like that. But there's very little outright repetition, but there is a lot of motivic development.
Yeah, it basically, I did copy paste the way one copy pastes, but I had the good sense to move it over by a few eighth notes or something, and that's really all it takes to mess with listener expectations.
Well, and I think it sounds really coherent to the ear, right? Even the ba-da, that it happens at different parts of the bar, and it
Which,
I
it's a
think
different gesture anywhere you put it.
exactly.
Yeah.
But because it's so consistent, or because the materials are there.
The way the horns yes and the strings is just very good. Well done, sir.
Thank you, sir. Probably hear this more in the third chorus, but I felt like the bari sax was most effective as almost a comment on the bass part, or like some sort of hairy mutant bass. Everybody lines up on those parts. And the bass in the choruses, that sort of that always, in my head, is less melodic and more of like a grunt. So I really wanted to bring that out in the horns and other things.
Yeah, it kind of marries the sections.
We have those croaks tucked in there. Yeah.
Is that in there?
It is.
Wow, because it's not soft in the mix either.
Well, it's stereo, super hard panned, and I think it kind of like lives with other percussive elements.
I see. So something sort of softening it.
Oh, your little kind of ad libs. Tucked it in there somewhere.
Yeah, no, well, it's like this moment. It's like a New Orleans, that brass band thing of everybody soloing at the same time. I guess that's another sort of dichotomy that exists in this, is the sort of hyper ordered puzzle piece thing versus the the sense of like every little event is responding to every other little event, and that kind of Phil Glassy like puzzle piece thing versus the New Orleans, just let's all just leave it on the table. So like chaos versus structure.
Yeah. Do you feel like the structure is more in the verses and the chaos more in the choruses, or
but even within sections, there's like, it's being tugged in different ways. You have this super regimented thing, and then you have this jubilation and joy that doesn't feel like it can be gridded out. So maybe that goes to the 16th, the swung versus straight thing as well.